Okay, hello. Welcome to my channel today. Now, I would like to talk about an issue which just happened a few days ago. And while it is dying down now, the topic is dying down now, I still feel, while the story is dying down, and due to the fact that it's an old story, I feel the questions that this issue brought up are very timeless, and it's important one talks about it so that we can broaden our understanding of these kind of things. First of all, my channel is dedicated to science because I feel there's a very, very low interest in it, apart from we just studying it in school and that's it. No, I feel we should care more about science and about knowledge and understanding in general, because I feel it's an important tool we can use to form a better society, a society with sound moral principles and philosophies that can endure. Because I feel there is no society that can endure, no civilization can endure if it doesn't have sound moral principles. And I feel if these moral principles are built on knowledge and understanding, then we can have a better world, So this is why I try to talk about science and explore with you scientific ideas. But I'd also like to be talking about normal daily issues in Nigeria and also in any other parts of Africa, because I feel our continent and our people are behind in many areas of life. I mean, we can't argue against that. Now, so what is this issue that I want to talk about? It is the video of Tiwa Savage that got leaked. And so I've listened to a lot of things, a lot of people have said about it, most people condemning her, which is strange in my opinion. Condemning, because condemnation is something we do to the guilty, right? It seems a lot of us have missed that when this whole issue come up. Condemnation is something that is done on the guilty. I've never seen anywhere where I've never seen any thinking that makes it right to condemn the innocent. Innocents are justified. Innocents are not guilty. Sorry, they are not condemned. But people condemned her, calling her immoral. And I feel so strongly about this that I feel compelled to say one or two things about it. Now, why do we call her immoral? Which is why I'm making this video. What exactly about the whole story indicates that she is an immoral person? And listening to everybody, all the perspectives that have been put forward about this, I could draw up a few things which makes people to call her an immoral person. There are people around us who still see sex as a bad, dirty act. So probably these people condemn her that she's immoral because she had sex. Some people, because from listening to all the responses, the reactions to this, I sense this among some of the respondents. These people feel, some people feel she's immoral because she had sex. Other people feel she's immoral because she had sex with someone she's not married to. There are people who feel she's immoral not because of the 2 points I just raised above, the 2 issues that I just raised above, that is, she having sex at all, that she having sex, or that she's having sex with someone she's not married, to whom she's not married. And then these people feel they don't have an issue with the two above, but what makes them to call her immoral is because the sexual intercourse was recorded, so they think she's immoral. And then we have another group of people who do not have a problem with the other ones that I just listed. The problem they have is that it was made public, that the whole of our body was seen in public, and that is shameful. But is it shameful? I just want to bring my own perspective to the which is truly a very different from what a lot of people have out there. I feel that our thinking, for us to think this way, means that there is something wrong with our thinking. And my YouTube channel, and also my other social media handles and my website are dedicated to spreading knowledge that is valid, that which is true, so that we can form a better mind that can improve us in all areas, morally, socially, economically, politically, etc. So I feel so outraged by these condemnations and from all these reasons they gave. So I'm going to be responding to some of these group of people who think she's immoral because of one or two of the things that I just mentioned. So let me try to address the first question. The first question is she immoral because she had sex? Like I said, there are some people who feel, and that's very surprising for someone like me and for most people around in the world, there are people who feel she's immoral because she had sex. So for these people, sex is bad. Well, you can't blame them. For much of man's history, sex has been seen as a bad thing. So if there are still people who think like this, well, while it's unreasonable for us to have people who think like that, it is not surprising that we still have them. Why? Because sex has been demonized as a dirty thing, as a bad thing, all through the history of mankind. Now, but then again, because I'm not going to be impressed with anyone who just takes my thoughts without scrutinizing it himself, separating what he thinks are good and can be taken from it, and then leaving behind what he thinks are bad. Because I'm not that kind of person who would be very impressed with you just taking things hook, line and sinker. I feel I'm going to give you, that's the reason I'm going to be giving these people who feel sex is bad the benefit of the doubt, even though I don't think you'll ever convince me. But then again, I will still have to keep an open mind. Maybe there is something you know which the rest of us do not know. You can let us know about it, and then put forward your points in a way that can make us see that, oh, it is true what you're saying. But like I said, you're going to have a very tough job convincing me and many people in the world that sex in itself is bad, because this is what we see around us. We see it in nature, we see it among us humans. I mean, without it, there is no way we can procreate. Although we have modern technologies today to help us to do that. But I also feel without it, maybe relationship between people in the world, men and women, married couples or even unmarried couples, would be very difficult. I mean, this is the belief of many people. But then again, like I said, I give you the benefit of the doubt. Let us know what you think. If you are one of the people who feel sex is bad, maybe you know what we don't know, so you let us know that. And then the next question is, is she immoral because she had sex with someone she's not married to? Now, this is another reason why a lot of people will condemn her and call her immoral, you see. But let's try to look at this. I'm trying to bring another perspective to it, so that in our bid to form a society that is a bit more just, we can consider my perspective and also the perspective of other people, consider them, weigh them, and then come up with what we think is best, that which is true, that which is right, and that which is progressive. So there are people who feel she's immoral because she had sex with someone she is not married to. Now these people are most likely going to come from 3 backgrounds. People who have this opinion. Number 1, people who are traditionally minded Africans, because in most African societies, because African societies are not a monolith, so in most African societies, sex is restricted only for married couples. You should only do it only in marriage. Another group of people who will have this opinion are Christians, and then the third group are Muslims. These are the people who form our society. Now, the Christian believes sex should be within marriage only. He feels the Bible tells him that. The same thing with the Muslim. But then again, let us look very closely and see if restricting sex to only married people is a good thing or is fair. Now, we need to understand, if you're an African-minded individual, like I said, African cultures, most of them restrict sex only within marriage. They feel it should be done only when someone is married. Now, we need to understand one thing. And these people who think this way want to make us to continue to live by that standard. But then again, here is one thing such people are missing. The traditional African understanding of life, worldview, and also morals, the foundation of our moral and values and ethics, has its foundation in the rural setting. For the African, the village means a lot. The village means to us what it doesn't mean to probably the European, because it is the foundation of our culture. It is the foundation of our traditional worldview, which is still very much with us here. But then again, we need to understand that the African culture is based on a rural and agrarian setting. Now, in rural agrarian settings, these are what you find, is always restricted within marriage. Now, for us today who live in the modern world, who live in, now we largely live in cities today, and our economy is not very agrarian based anymore. I don't think many people in Africa today have ever held a hoe in their hand to go to farm. And even if they have, it still doesn't mean that we are completely living in a rural and agrarian setting anymore. You see, so our parents, there are people who would say, oh, our parents left sex until they got married. Yes, I agree. But then again, our parents grew up in a different socio-economic background from ours. You see, in the rural agrarian setting, you don't need so many years of education to be a functional member of that society. And that means as soon as a child, a boy or a girl, begins to get into puberty age, they are ripe for marriage by that standard. You see, so, and if you look, by the age of 12, 13, 14, 15, when people get married in the village, in that kind of setting, that's around the age of puberty, which means their hormones are just beginning to rage at the time. And they don't have to wait very long before they relieve themselves of that in marriage. And so they get married and then they do that. But if you bring that into today's Nigeria and other parts of Africa, like in Nigeria's case, a child 15 years old is still in secondary school. Now, a secondary school leaver would have very limited chances to contribute meaningfully in an urban industrialized setting. which means they can't get married at that time. You see, in 2011, I gained admission into the university, and then by then I was already 23. You see, getting out of secondary school, trying to get admission into the university can still prove to be very difficult for us, adding more to our years, you see. So before we get to a point where we can meaningfully contribute to, we can meaningfully function in our urban industrialized setting, we need so much of education, which our parents in those days did not need, you see. So it allows them to get married on time when they can, then they can relieve themselves of sexual tension. But for us in the world today, in Nigeria today, who go for men at the age of 30, a lot of them have still not found their feet on the ground. Which means, and the age at which we reach our puberty have not changed with this reality. It still remains around 12, 13, 14, 15, you see. Now, it means we'll have to put up with that urge for so long. So our parents don't really understand what it means to put up with this sexual urge for this long, you see. So it is very, very unfair to tell us to continue to live by the standard of our parents when the situations are not exactly the same, you see. And if you're coming from the Islamic or the Christian background, well, biblical Israel and Quranic Arabia, they were both, like Africa, rural and agrarian. You see, if you look into the Bible, there's a Christian song that says, bringing in the sheaves, we shall come rejoice. You see, bring sheaves, you know what sheaves are? That has got to do with farming. You see, there are lots of indications in the Bible that can show to you that it was largely an agrarian society. I mean, there are so many instances of certain things being, there are so many instances where references were made to the vineyard. You see, the vineyard is a farm. You see, the shepherd is a farmer. So, like Africa, biblical Israel and also Quranic Arabia were agrarian too. So it is not a surprise that they have this injunction, leave sex till marriage. You see, so it is not a surprise that they also agree with the traditional African view. Why? Because they are all coming from the same socio-economic background, which is completely different from ours today. I'm one person who feels that if you are to, how do you say it? If the Bible and the Quran were to be written in our day, it will take into consideration the realities of our time, just as it is written, taking into account the realities of their own time too. So you continue to insist that, oh, you are immoral. Why? Because you are going against the Bible. You should also understand that these things were written in a different period, in a different time, where the situations are different. You see? Can you see how you insisting that she's an immoral person because she had sex with someone she's not married to? Can you see how wrong you are? But of course, you're free. I understand religion, Christianity and Islam are basically religions of faith. You don't think about what's presented before you, just think. Now, if you're that kind of person, it's okay. Continue to be with that. Now, I'm not saying because we should not always restrict sex to marriage. I'm saying that I'm not saying that it is not also okay. I'm not saying it's not okay if you leave it till marriage. I'm only saying people should be able to have their choices. People should be able to be flexible enough and relate with all these things in line with their realities, you see. So like I said, if the Bible and the Quran were written in modern day, they probably would be saying something different from what you can see there, you see. So that's one thing I would like to say about that. Okay, now this is not just similar with the African, even the Indians and also the Chinese, they have this similar worldview too. That is traditionally they're like this. Why? Because like us, they are rural and agrarian. There's a book by Fei Xiaotong, that's a Chinese anthropologist. I recommend that for any African to be able to understand Chinese people, even especially now that they're around us here working with us. So if you're ready to come to see, you the African will be able to relate with a lot of things you can see in it. That's to show to you that we are very much like them. And the writer of that book, he said, the foundation of the Chinese culture is rural. You see, he's actually buttressing the same point that I'm making. You see, so that's what I would like to say about that topic, that question. That for those people who feel she's immoral because she had sex with someone she's not married to. Now, there are also people who feel they think she's immoral because the act was recorded. You know, there are people who say, okay, well, I may not have a problem with the fact that she had sex, or the fact that she had sex with someone she's not married to, but I have a problem. Why should you record it? That's their problem. And so because it was recorded, they call her immoral. Now, like I said at the beginning, when I listen to all these things people say, I begin to wonder how we reason. And the reason is clearly faulty, because like I said at the beginning, the reasoning, it demonizes and condemns the innocent. You condemn me for what I did not do. If I didn't do something, I cannot be responsible for it. So when you condemn me for a thing, you're saying I am responsible for that thing. I actually did it. Now, there are people who feel, oh, the reason she's immoral is because, not because she had sex or sex with her boyfriend, but because the sexual intercourse got recorded on camera. Now, who did the recording? I mean, if you watch the video, you could see her hands were not holding a camera. So, if she did not do the recording, how can you blame her for the recording? But no, in our setting where people think in a particular kind of way, and in anybody in any part of the world who thinks someone is immoral because she's immoral because the act actually got recorded, should only look back at himself and question the way he reasons. You cannot in any way condemn someone for an action they did not do. They're not responsible for. So for those of you condemning her for this, I think the joke is more on you. The condemnation should be more on you than it is on the innocent lady. You see. Now, another thing again is about this particular question. There are those people who say, oh, our parents, I understand. Maybe because this historically, when people have sex, they don't record them. But you need to understand that they didn't have all these gadgets with themselves at that time. So these gadgets are our realities. You see, if our parents never recorded themselves, that is probably because they didn't have all these gadgets with them. They were not that empowered. They were not that empowered. So this is our realities. We just have to learn how to deal with it. Now, there are people who feel, maybe those people coming from Christian and Islamic background, you should also remember one thing. Even in the church, because there was a time I was in one marriage counseling, and I was just curious. I wanted to learn. I want to see if I could learn one or two things. And that's why I went to take part in it. So when I went there, the topic of the day was on sex, contraceptives. They were coaching intending couples, people who are going to get married. And I could see that the discussion was very open, and which I think I was impressed with. I was impressed by that. And one of the instructors said he encouraged the couples to try things to spice up their intimate moments. That is, anytime they're having intercourse, they should try things. You see? Now, this is because the church now agrees that sex is an important part of a relationship. For any marriage to thrive, or any relationship to thrive, sex is an important part. And then people are free to try things as long as it's within the laws of the land, of course. People are free to try things to spice up that experience. Now, if how do I say it? If two people, in trying to, as part of trying to spice up their relationship, decide to record themselves, what's wrong with that? Decide to record themselves and then see it later. What's wrong with that is the question I'm asking you. And if you think there's something wrong with that, why then do you tell people you in your churches, tell people to do things to spice up their relationship? So then if you're a Muslim and you still think she went too far, or you think she's immoral because she had it recorded, well, I'm not a Muslim. I've never been a Muslim. I was a Christian, now an atheist, for good reasons, and very proud of that decision. In Islam, of course, Islam tells women to wear hijab, so it looks to many people on the outside that Islam has a negative attitude to to sex. But that's not the case. I mean, if there's any Muslim watching me, he can attest to this. If Islam tells women to wear hijab, it's not trying to say sex is bad. No. And it's not trying to tell you that you cannot be romantic or crazy. Crazy. It's only because they understand these issues can easily lead to problems, so they try to have an organized way in which it can be done. You see, so that's why it appears on the outside like Islam is anti-sex and things like that. In fact, in Islam, women are encouraged to wear nice perfume, dress fine. The man is also encouraged to look good, so that they can be pleasing to each other. You see, so Islam doesn't have a problem with couples making the most of their time. Of course, making the most of the experience of sex. You know, so since Islam doesn't do that, I do not think Islam would have a problem with, or the Holy Prophet would have a problem. Of course, if I'm wrong here, you help me to understand better. But I don't think the Holy Prophets have a problem with couples recording themselves if it turns them on and it is with themselves. So if there's any Muslim out there who says, oh, this lady is immoral because her video got recorded, I think you should just maybe have a rethink and then consider other perspectives like the one I just presented. But as an atheist, I feel having your videos recorded is not bad, especially when it is consensual. And from the video, it's very clear that it was consensual. So what should be anybody's problem? Now, there are people who feel that the problem they have with the whole thing is that it got leaked. Of course, I understand Muslims and Christians have their own standard. It's okay if you want to keep that. But then again, you cannot make it a standard for other people. You see, but with your boyfriend, why should I have it recorded? Why should I have it published on camera? On the internet. You should know that you're not only missing the point, you're the one who is immoral yourself. You're the one immoral yourself. So you can see why we need to update our thinking, update our morals, update our values. How can someone who claims to be morally upright overlook blackmail and condemn someone for having sex at all, or for having sex with her boyfriend, or for having sex and having it recorded in camera, or for the video at all to be out there, even if she made it available for the public to see? It's completely a choice. If you don't want it, you can as well not watch it. As simple as that. You can as well not watch it. But for us to ignore the fact that she was being blackmailed and then condemn her for this means that we are the ones who are immoral ourselves. And to know that we do this from the perspective of your Christian and Islamic background, and also from the traditional African background, makes it everything that is bad with your Christian and Islamic background, and also your African background, that you no longer have a sense of justice, a clear understanding of things, and then to put them in proper perspective, makes your Christianity and your Islam and also your African tradition bad. You need to understand that. You see, there's someone, if you've watched Richard Dawkins, there's someone he's interviewed before. She's called Miriam Namazi. She's a former Muslim. She's Iranian. She said it one day in one of our debates in the UK. She said she actually thinks that religious morals and values are actually immoral in themselves, and I agree with her. Because the reason you left the bad person who is the blackmailer and focused on Tiwa Savage is because of the demonization that our African culture and Christianity and Islam have placed on sex at all. So the idea of sex many times is seen by these cultures as dirty. That's why it is easy for us to overlook the real criminal, who is the blackmailer, and then focus on the innocent person who was being the victim who was being blackmailed. You see? And like she said she's crazy enough to even put all those things out there. If she puts it out there, there's nothing wrong with it. If you don't want it, don't watch. There are married couples now, who make their own videos and put it out there on the internet. A lot of you know them. If you go to the the porn sites and their own personal websites, they have their videos there. You see, these people are properly married. They only have sex with each other. They don't have sex with somebody else. And the reason they put all these things out there is because they feel they want to make all these things available for the public, so that maybe through their own experiences, the public can learn how this is their own hope, can learn how to relate with themselves and to communicate, and then to maximize those experiences for themselves. Now, what's wrong with that? Except your Christianity and Islam is wrong with it. You see? So we need to put all these things in. It's okay for you to have your various religious views. That's fine. But you have to know that it is a standard for yourself, not a standard for other people. You see? So because of these, sometimes these videos that we have out there, although you can have some questions about some of the practices you see in these videos, I agree. But then again, we also have sex videos out there that are made by educational institutions. They have sex. Maybe some of you, maybe they're carrying out research, and then they have several gadgets put on the individual's body the two people having sex, they have it put on their body maybe to measure their physiological changes as they're having, so as to broaden our understanding of sex. You see, there are other videos out there that you see they explore, what do you call it, different positions for couples, whether married or unmarried, depending on who you are, so as to learn more about sex and then all the positions and all the chemistry and everything going on within you, in order to be able to increase your knowledge of this historically demonized topic, which is sex. Of course, it's historically demonized from those backgrounds. You see, there are educational institutions that make all these videos available so that you will get to understand better the whole idea of sex, because now we understand more than ever before that sex in itself is an integral part of relationship. You see, so anyone who condemns the idea of who condemns Tiwa Savage for having sex at all, or for having it recorded on camera, well, you're entitled to your opinion, but you can listen to our opinion, think about it, weigh it with yours, and then make up your beliefs. So, which is one of the reasons I have this video. I'm making this video so we can have other perspectives, because some of us may not be aware of this perspective, so I try to make it available so that you can factor it into all the things you consider as we try to form a society that is a bit more just, that is a bit more fair, and that is progressive. You see. Another thing I'd like to talk about is now, I just made the point that we have people, married couples now, who actually make their own sex videos. And every single time they want to have sex, they make it videos of it, and they make it available to the public. Now, some of you out there would say, "What? A married person? That's the height of immorality." Well, I want you to understand one thing. You may call them whatever you want to call them, but history also proves to us that some of the profound ideas that we've ever reached as a human race was made known to us through the experiences of the marginalized. In this case, maybe porn stars or sex workers, or people who make amateur porn stars, that's actual couples who make their own sex videos available. You see, and I think one of the biggest things that have happened in the history of mankind is the demystification of the topic sex. Yes, the demystification of it. Before it got demystified, a lot of female orgasm is unknown. Is that a good thing for female orgasm to be unknown? But as soon as it got demystified, we began to learn more about it. You see, those of you who are speaking with the mentality of the Bible, the Quran, or the traditional African belief, well, you're free to do so. But you need to understand again that in those societies, female orgasm was unknown. The entire experience of sex was shrouded in mystery. We never understood it. So who are the people that made it possible for us to have this knowledge that we have today? Of course, you can have your opinion. I also think some of the things you see in porn are wrong, but not everything. You see, maybe the slapping, the spitting, the beating, and all those things. Of course, I know those things are wrong. This is my opinion. But one good thing that it has done is that it has demystified what you call cunnilingus and fellatio. You can check the meaning of those words in the dictionary. Cunnilingus and fellatio. In the past, we couldn't make a very good experience. We couldn't maximize our experience of sex because we demonize these things and then they are seen as dirty. But in our modern world today, even what do you call them? Married couples now do cunnilingus and fellatio. Who has been able to make this possible for us? The sex workers, the porn stars, and the amateur porn stars. So you can see that once again, the stone which the builders rejected, those of you who are Christians, you are very familiar with this term. The stone which the builders rejected has become the chief cornerstone. I was trying to make a historical argument when I said, historically, some of the people that have led us to the most profound things in history have been the marginalized. In this case, the sex workers and also porn stars. Their activity has been able to demystify sex in itself, and of all the other negative things you see in porn and those sex videos, there are positive things you can take from it too. Fellatio, cunnilingus. These two things have gone a long way to help people maximize the experience of sex. So I don't know if I've said all the things that I'd like to say in this video, but this is what I'd like to put on ground. That those of us thinking she's immoral should know that we are the biggest immorals, because we left the big issue on ground and focused trying to demonize and beat down someone we think has done something wrong with the person actually in actual fact has done nothing wrong. So this is what I have to say. I don't know if I left anything out.